Kyrie doesn't owe answers to anybody. He doesn't owe answers to the NBA or himself. I mean, not himself. He obviously, but maybe he's still trying to find out answers for himself, and he doesn't need to abide by the timeline that we as the media or that the NBA sets for him until he feels comfortable with his own decision.
Jay, I'm trying to keep my cool and put Jay back up on the screen so I can make sure I'm looking at him. I'm trying to keep my cool, Jay, because I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
I hear you.
I just think that you're going in a different direction than where folks who are critical of Kyrie are pointing to. We know he has the right not to be vaccinated. We know it's his right. We know that he doesn't owe us answers. We know all of that. What I'm saying to you is, remember, you said it's not just about basketball, it's about life. But be clear, Jay, here's why I can tell you it's about basketball. Because he's saying that he's not an anti-vaxxer. He's saying he's not vaccinated, but he's not anti-vaccine. He just believes it's a personal choice. Okay, fine. That means we now get to dig into your personal choice. And at some point in time, history matters, okay? Again, put Jay up on the screen for me, please. I need to look at Jay when I'm saying this. When you go to court, Jay, right, if you are a first-time offender or you are a multiple-time offender, the judge takes that into consideration. Do they not? Of course they do. So now we have to look at Kyrie. I told you, Jay, last week sometime, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kyrie was doing this just to have time off. I actually said that to you. So what I'm saying to you is that it's not about the vaccine or the anti-vaccine, Dan Orlovsky or Jay. I'm saying this guy has a history of taking time off. When Steve Nash first got the job, he said, we don't need a coach. Because Kyrie didn't really want anybody to answer to. He went to Boston. There were problems. People pointed to Brad Stevens. In Cleveland prior to that, it was supposed to be LeBron James. LeBron James got love for this brother. He just knows that Kyrie marches to his own beat. Fair enough. We gave him a pass on that. He goes to Brooklyn. He only plays 20 games his first season. The second season, he gets hurt. And then after being gone all of these months, he tried to discourage people to not play in the bubble, knowing that the owners would have given the owners the right to rip up the collective bargaining agreement, render all multi-million-dollar contracts null and void, and they would have had to go back to the collective bargaining table, and he makes that position public without talking to Chris Paul, who's then the president of the Players Association. Then he comes back after a 10-month hiatus, 10 months off, and 7 games into the season, he needs personal time. Come on, y'all. So what I'm saying to you, Jay, for all the trolls out there, whatever, Jay and I don't disagree, but even if we did, damn it, to get the hell over it, we're brothers. Me and Jay are good. It's not about that. And I want to make sure it's not about I had to tell my boy Shabazz yesterday, it ain't about the vaccine. We're not talking about, you took the vaccine or you didn't take the vaccine. It's about Kyrie Irving, one season after another. There's always something that gets in the way of him balling. And in the end, why does Kyrie matter? No disrespect, good brother, heart's in the right place, philanthropic, very charitable, donates to causes. Kyrie Irving, ladies and gentlemen, is not a bad guy. He's a very good guy. His heart is in the right place. He does not deserve to be excoriated and vilified for his character as a human being. But he has this issue. And the issue is what he has signed on for, Jay. He finds one excuse after another to not show up to work.
My brother, I don't think this is an excuse, though, Stephen A.
Okay.
I think this is. Okay. I think that you have to be able to isolate this particular situation as something I said many times to you, my man. This is unprecedented. I've never dealt with this in my lifetime. Neither of you, neither has my mother. My grandmother probably has, right? So I go back to this, and I'll say this to you, man. I think there are a lot of things that we can sit up here and talk about the history of Kyrie Irving. And I'm with you on a lot of that stuff. We've debated that on your show. This is a dude who did ball out last year. And I know you said he missed 10 days with family. He had 50, 40, 90, man. He had 50, 40, 90.
He's the superstar.
He's a superstar. He's a superstar. So I don't want, because of this one instance, if you want to sit there and if your argument is, hey, due to all these things that have happened before this instance, that he's the guy that all this stuff gets in the way of him balling, that's a fine argument, Stephen A. I'm game with that. But when you include this particular situation in that argument, that's where I have a problem.
We got to get Dan in. I'm just going to say this and hand it off to Dan. Jay, I believe this is what I'm saying. If it wasn't this, it would be something for him to miss games. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead,
but that's
Dan.
speculation, though, right, Steve? That's speculation.
Well, I got history to back me up. You don't. Go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead, Dan.
First of all, I think I'm learning a lot just through that conversation. Just so you guys know, I know I'm on the show, but I'm also paying attention, being a fan of the conversation. I'm going to just speak from my perspective, so to speak. I started playing team sports when I was 4 years old, so 31 years of team sports, and many of that was spent in a locker room. I grew up in a locker room for the most part of my life, and I'm just putting myself in the situation of people within that locker room. And I think if I was a teammate of Kyrie Irving's, I would be frustrated and I would be unhappy with this, but I'd have to accept it. The choice that Kyrie's making makes him unavailable to go accomplish the goal that we want. And understanding that in team sports, it takes all of us. And we're never going to be as good as we can be unless it takes, or we're all together and we're doing it all together. And I think the reality for a guy like a Kevin Durant or a guy like James Harden is that I would be frustrated and I would be unhappy with this because it deters us from our common goal. That being said, as a teammate, I would have to accept that that would be Kyrie's choice.